Hi and welcome to our new YouTube tutorial. In this video we're going to create a 3D room with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So as you can see, we have here a room in 3D space. There is a table in the center of the room and we have a letter on the table. If we click the button read letter, then we will reach to the table and the letter will rotate. If we click again the button, then we'll move back. Okay, so that's it about this project. Let's go ahead and start to create it. I've prepared a new folder on the desktop called 3D Room, which right now is empty. Let's go ahead and open it in VS Code and create our working files: index.html, style.css, and script.js. In this project, we will use a little bit of JavaScript. Let's open the index.html file and create a basic HTML document. For that, I'm going to place here an exclamation mark and then hit Tab or Enter. So first of all, let's change the title. It's going to be 3D Room. And then link the CSS and JavaScript files, open link tag and specify here the name of the file. As for the script file, I'm going to open script tag and specify the name of the JavaScript file in the source attribute. Alright, so now I'm going to run the project to the browser using live server. And also let's place the editor and the browser like so. Okay, so at first I'm going to create the HTML markup. Let's open the div tag, which is going to be the room. So inside the room we will have two different elements. The first one is going to be the button. Let's open button tag with the class btn and with the text read letter. As for the second one, it's going to be the table. So inside the table we'll have a couple of different elements. The first one is going to be the letter. Let's open h3 heading tag with the class letter. And let's insert here some dummy text. Next we will have three legs of the table. Let's open div tag with the classes table leg. And also we need here another class table leg 1. Let's duplicate this line of code twice and then change the class names. Okay, finally we need here floor. Let's open div tag with the class floor. Alright, so the HTML markup is ready and now it's time to start to write some CSS. First of all, I'm going to create some reset and default styles. Let's select every element using an asterisk. I'm going to get rid of default margin and padding. Let's set both properties to 0. And also, I'm going to set box sizing to border box. So throughout this project, we'll use rem as a measurement unit. By default, 1 rem equals 16 pixels, and I want to convert it into 10 pixels. For that, we have to decrease the font size of the HTML element. Let's make it 62.5%. Alright, so we are ready to customize the room. Actually, I think it will be better if we hide the button and the letter for a while, because I'm going to create the table. Let's comment both elements. Then I'm going to select a room. First of all, let's define width and height. I'm going to set width to 100%. As for the height, it's going to be 100% of the viewport. And then change the background color. Make it black. Okay, next I'm going to take care of the table. First of all, let's define its width and height. I'm going to set both properties to 60 rand. And then I'm going to change the background. In this case, we will use a radial gradient function. It allows us to create color transition from the center of the element. So I'm going to insert here two different colors. Both of them will be RGBA values. The first one is going to be white color. We need 255 3 times. And then the opacity 0.9. As for the second color, it's going to be 38191.230, and the opacity is going to be 0.9. Okay, next let's make the table rounded and also create the border. Let's set border radius to 50% and then create border bottom with values 2 rem, solid, and the color is going to be RGB 153, 233 and 253. After that, I'm going to place the table in the center of the page. For that, let's use a CSS grid. We need display grid and place items center. Okay, so the table is centered, and now I'm going to rotate it. Also, I want to move the table inside the room deeper. Before we do that, we have to create a 3D environment, and for that I'm going to use the property called perspective. Let's set it to 100 rem. And after that, I'm going to rotate the table. Let's use transform property. So we need to rotate the table according to the x-axis. The value is going to be 70 degrees. And also we need to move the table according to the z-axis. So let's use translate z with the value 10 rem. Okay, so the table is rotated, and now we have to take care of the legs. As you know, all 3 legs have a common class name, table leg. So let's select it and define width and height. The width is going to be 3 rem. As for the height, I'm going to make it 35 rem, and also change the background color. Let's use here RGBA value 29113.116 and the opacity 0.8. Okay, so here we have all 3 legs, but as you can see, we need to take care of their positions. So let's set the position to absolute and then define top and left properties. The top position is going to be 30 rem. As for the left position, I'm going to set it to 28.5 rem. Alright, so now we need to customize each leg separately. Let's go ahead and start with the first one. We need to rotate the leg according to the x and z axis. Before we rotate the leg, we need to share a 3D space for the leg as well. And in order to do that, we need to use property called transform style with the value preserve 3D. Okay, after that we can rotate the leg. Let's select table leg 1 and then use transform, rotate x with the value minus 60 degrees and rotate z with the value 40 degrees. Alright, so as you can see, the leg is rotated, but it is rotated from the center because by default the origin of the transformation is set to center, and we need to change it and make it top. Okay, now we have a much better result. Next, I'm going to make the leg rounded. So let's use border radius 5 rem and 1 rem. And also I'm going to add a border on the right side and also at the bottom. So let's use border right with the values 0.3 rem, solid, and the color RGB 38, 85, 87. Let's duplicate this line of code and change border right into border bottom. Alright, that's it about the first leg. Let's move on and take care of the second one. Actually, I'm going to duplicate this code. Let's change the class name. It's going to be 2. The value of the rotate z function will be negative. And also I'm going to change the values of the border radius. We need 1 rem and 5 rem. And lastly, instead of the border right property, we need here border left. Okay, so the second leg is ready. Let's move on and customize the third one. Let's duplicate again the code, change the class name. We need here table leg 3. So in this case, we just need to rotate the element according to x-axis, and the value is going to be minus 140 degrees. Border radius is going to be 1 rem, and instead of border bottom, we need border right. Alright, so that's it about the legs, and actually the table is ready. Next I'm going to take care of the floor. So let's select this element and first of all define width and height. Right now I'm going to make the floor a little bit smaller, and then we will change those values. So the width and height are going to be 60 rem. As you know, the floor looks like the chess blackboard, and we're going to create it using one of the functions called repeating conic gradient. This function belongs to the background image property. So we will mix two different colors, and we will manage the alignment of the cells using some degrees. The first value in this function defines the direction of the cells. So I'm going to pass here from 90 degrees. Next, we need to specify the first color. It's going to be black, and we need here 0 degrees and 90 degrees. Actually, this will create one black cell. Next, we need to specify the second color, which is going to be 333. I'm in the gray color. And also we need here 90 degrees and 180 degrees. After that, we need to specify the size of the cells. So we need to use background size, and the values are going to be 10 rem and again 10 rem. So as you can see, we have here the cells, and they look like a chess blackboard. As you can see, these cells are repeated. It happens because by default the background repeat property is set to repeat. So if we change it and make it no repeat, then we will have just 4 cells, because the repeating conic function is executed once and it created cells on the x and y axis. Okay, let's get rid of background repeat property. Next, I'm going to make the floor rounded. Let's use border radius with the value 50%. Then I'm going to set the position to absolute. And we need to move the floor down below. So let's use transform, translate z with the value minus 23 rem. Alright, actually we can already increase the size of the floor. Let's change the values of the width and height, make them 160 rem. Alright, after that we need to place the floor in the center of the room. And for that I'm going to use CSS flexbox. We need display flex, then justify content center, and align items center. Alright, after that let's add some shadow effect. Also I'm going to hide the part of the floor that is outside of the room. So let's use box shadow. We need the shadow inside the element, so we need to use here inset minus 5 rem, minus 5 rem, then 10 rem, and the black color. And also we need here again inset 5 rem, 5 rem, 10 rem, and the black color. And in order to hide the floor that is outside of the room, we need to use overflow hidden. Alright, so that's it. The floor and the table both are ready, and now we can take care of the button and the letter. Right now they are hidden. Let's go ahead and make them visible. Let's select button, define its width and height. I'm going to set both properties to 15 rem. Then change the background color make it E, and also change the color of the text. Let's use RGB value 252357. Okay, next I'm going to change the position of the button. Let's set position to relative, and then define top and left properties. The top position is going to be 10 RAM. As for the left position, I'm going to make it -40 RAM. Alright, after that I'm going to change the shape of the button, and also I'm going to add a border to it. Let's change the shape of the element using border radius. The values will be 50% twice, then 0 and 50%. As for the border, I'm going to make it 0.3 RAM, dashed, and the color is going to be RGB 252357. Alright, after that, let's go ahead and customize the text of the button. I'm going to increase the font size. Let's make it 2 RAM. Then transform text into uppercase. Also, I'm going to create some space between the letters, make it 0.2 RAM. Then I'm going to increase the line height. Let's make it 1.5. And lastly, change the type of the cursor, make it pointer. Alright, so the button is customized. Next I'm going to take care of the letter. Let's select it, and first of all define its width and height. I'm going to set width to 15 RAM. Then the height is going to be 25 RAM. Let's change the background color, make it white. Next I'm going to create the space inside the letter, and let's do that using padding. Let's set it to 2 RAM at the top, then 1 RAM on the right side, 2 RAM at the bottom, and 1 RAM on the left side. Let's change the color, make it 555, and also use a little shadow effect. Use box shadow with the value 0.1 RAM and the color AAA. Alright, now it is time to take care of the font of the letter. Actually, I'm going to use one of the Google fonts. So let's go ahead and visit the Google Fonts website. I'm going to search for a font called Dancing Script. Let's select the first style, then click Import, grab the URL, and paste it into the CSS file. Alright, now we can define the font family. Let's assign to Dancing Script, cursive, then change the font size, make it 1.5 RAM, and finally I'm going to create a little indentation. Let's use text indent with value 0.5 RAM. Alright, so everything is ready, and now we can make this button work. So once we click it, we have to move inside the room, reach the table, and the letter should rotate. For that I'm going to use a little bit of JavaScript. We have to add an event listener to the button with a click event. So first of all, I'm going to select button. Let's use query selector method. We need to specify here the class name btn. Then we have to add an add event listener to the button with click event, and also we have to pass here a callback function which will be executed once we click the button. So I'm going to add a new class to the table. Then using this class we will define new styles in CSS which we need to add to the element on click. So now we need to select table. Let's use again query selector method. The class name is going to be table. After that we need to use a property called class list, which gives us all the classes that the element has. And now I'm going to use one of the methods called toggle. Actually, this method allows us to add a class to the element if it doesn't have it, and remove it if it does have it. The name of the class is going to be, let's say, change. Okay, so that's it about the JavaScript. Let's go back to the CSS file and select table with a class change. So we need to rotate the table according to x-axis, and also we need to move it according to the y and z directions. So we need here rotate x function with value 80 degrees, then translate y, the value is going to be 30 rem, and also translate z with value 10 rem. So once I click the button, then we'll move inside the room. But as you can see, we have to make this effect smoother. For that, I'm going to use transition. We need here transform and the duration 2 seconds. So now we have a much better result, but as you can see on the next click we no longer have a smooth effect, so we need another transition as the default one for the table. So now everything works fine. Actually, I think we need to rotate the table a little bit more according to the x-axis. Right now it is rotated by 70 degrees, so let's change the value and make it 80 degrees. Alright, so I think it is much better. Let's go ahead and take care of the letter. Let's select class change followed by the letter. I'm going to rotate letter according to x-axis. The value is going to be minus 80 degrees. So as you can see, the letter is rotating, but it's rotating from the center. We need to change the origin of the transformation. It's going to be bottom. Now the problem is fixed and we have to make the rotation smoother. Let's use again transition. We need transform. The duration is going to be 1 second. And also we need here a little delay time. It's going to be 2 seconds. Like the table, we need another transition as the default one. Alright, so now everything works fine. The only thing that I want to do is to add a delay time for the table once we move back from it. Let's add here 1 second. Alright, so finally we have finished working on this project. If you like this video, please thumbs up, comment below, share it, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell to get notified on coming tutorials. See you next time.